So today we begin at page 148. And those of you who use the online text we found, if you are using online text, it is actually on page 149 instead of 148. It's on 149. Among many other things, I don't know. This one, I don't know, something, that page is different, even though it looks like same text. Anyway, page 149 if you are using online in computer. Otherwise, if you use this text, physical book, it is on page 148. Okay. Last week, we went through 10-fold presentation or 10 points through which we study what Buddha nature is. So through those 10 presentations, one's supposed to have a basic understanding of what Buddha nature really is. Here, keep in mind that Buddha nature is something that which is our true nature, which is to be realized. Our true inherent nature, pure nature, is Buddha nature. Now today, we will go through the rest of the chapter. Still, we are on Buddha nature. So if you have not understood Buddha nature, you still have some chances. Going through these examples, it may give you some kind of idea. So I hope you pay really close attention, because all I'm doing here is some kind of overview, but this is important overview. If you listen closely, this will give you enough material on which you can study further clarification in detail. This definitely gives you enough material basis. So today, continuing on the Buddha nature, what we will be mainly talking about is through examples. See, the important things that which you, something very difficult to understand, we need lots of examples. Through different kinds of examples, and when you think about these examples, it may give you some profound understanding. So examples are very, very important. So, especially Buddha nature, in essence, beyond words and expressions, we need examples. Examples are, in fact, more important in this regard. So, pay close attention to these examples. So, how many examples are there? Here, Lord Maitreya is saying there are 9 different examples. 9 different examples. But in fact, we will go through these examples. Actually, there are 18 different examples. 18 examples. 9 examples, first 9 examples, which related to our defilements, understanding our defilements. Very important. Here, one of the most important things that you can keep in your mind is that when we talk about defilement, you always put adjective there. That is adventitious, adventitious, temporary. It is not the true nature. Defilements are not the true nature of the Buddha nature. They are temporarily arising. Like the clouds in the sky has to do with just arising, nothing to do with the sky itself. So keep in mind temporarily arising defilements or adventitious defilements. So that one knows none of these different kinds of defilements are not true nature of us at all. Not at all. On the other hand, now, 9 different other examples gives us the understanding of the Buddha nature. Buddha nature, what it is. This example again give 9 different examples. Through these 9 different examples, we try to come to an understanding of our true nature, so-called Buddha nature. Okay. Now, examples. Okay. On page 149, here it says, first example is this one. Just like a Buddha in a decaying lotus. That's one example. Honey emits bees. Second example. A grain in its husk. Third. Gold in field. A treasure underground. 5. A shoot and so on, sprouting from a little fruit. 6. A statue of victorious one in a tattered rock. 7. A ruler of mankind in a destitute woman's womb. 8. A precious image under a layer of clay. 9 different examples. This all together give all together 9 different examples. Now, next stanza. Next stanza. First go through this. Next stanza now separates these 9 examples, okay? These 9 examples. First is the 9 example which illustrate our defilements. Okay? Our defilements illustrated by these first 9 examples. Okay. First 9 examples which illustrate our defilements is correspond to a lotus. Decaying lotus is our defilements. Here defilements adventitious defilement, which covers up, which includes, which bury our true nature, are the defilements, right? That is first example, decaying lotus, that's one. Insect, bees are the one example. Okay, and first let us go. The husk is another example. Filth, the dirty, another example. The earth, the ground is another example. Fruit is another example. Tattered rock, pregnant woman, and then ground which buries the treasure, and then clay. These are 9. We will go through this really in detail, 9 examples, don't worry about it. Anyway, these 9 examples are example for our adventitious defilements. And then our Buddha nature's example. Now 9 example, we're kind of separating those, right? 9 example. First 9 example, exemplify or illustrate our defilement. Second 9 section, 9 example, illustrate our true Buddha nature. The second 9 set of example, which illustrate our innate purity, are first Buddha, second honey, third grain, fourth gold, fifth treasure, sixth Nigroda tree, seventh precious statue, 8 supreme ruler, 9 precious image. Okay, that's it. 9 examples which illustrate our true essence, the purity, the Buddha essence within. Okay. Now it's time to go into detail. See, Lord Maitreya's way of teaching is first gives kind of in a short form introduction to the subject, and then more detail, and then at the end again in summary. That's how Lord Maitreya is teaching. Now on page 150, other online will be 151. Now what we are going to do is first set of 9 examples, which exemplify, which illustrate our adventitious defilements. Our adventitious defilements. Okay, let's say first 9 examples, not only the adventitious defilement, but basically all 9 examples. Let me take this back. All 9 examples together. First 9 examples together. Okay. Okay. Now these 9 examples. First is Buddha and the lotus. Buddha and the lotus. Remember what Buddha represents? Buddha is our true nature, essence, Buddha essence. Lotus is our defilement. Decaying lotus represent our defilement. Okay. So from this, example and meaning of the Buddha and the lotus example. This next 3 example gives this Buddha and the lotus example. Imagine a Buddha, really, with its quality, beautiful Buddha is there, but it's covered up with a decaying lotus. We don't see the Buddha inside. It's covered up. with the decaying lotus. That lotus is not, even a good looking. It's quite ugly. But anyway, it does cover up the Buddha, which has all the qualities. Like that, our true nature, Buddha essence, which is inherently pure, is there, but we can see it. We don't realize it because it's covered completely with this decaying, cover up with this decaying lotus petals, lotus. So the pure essence, Buddha-like, this beautiful insight that we have, is covered up by all our defilements. Here, let me tell you, when we say defilements here, we are talking about what? From the very basic teaching of the Buddha, the source of sufferings has to do with karma and then mental obscurations. Karma, all kinds of karmas. Good karma, more bad karmas, cover up our Buddha mind, Buddha nature. Mental level, we usually divide into emotional defilements and cognitive defilements. All these mental defilements, really, how we become emotional, or our emotions. Beyond that, all our cognitive, really, all these thoughts, agendas, never sit alone. Sit still kind of mind, monkey-like mind. It's all really cover up our Buddha mind. And it has been covered for a long time. But the good story or good news here is that regardless how long it has been covered, it is still Buddha nature. It is Buddha there. Doesn't matter, even if it's lotus petals cover up this Buddha, we don't see the Buddha, but doesn't mean Buddha is not there. It is there. How sentient beings kind of swept away by our defilements, how we so much engage in our defilement, still our Buddha nature is there. It's always there. Primordially there. It has been there. It is there, and it will be there no matter what you do, what you go through. Always be there. It's just a wonderful, wonderful news. It is like a Buddha covered up with a decaying lotus. Okay, next three stanzas all talk about that. That's the first example, okay? Now, second example. Second example is honey and the bees. When there's honey, really, honey itself is really good, isn't it? Very tasty. Even we call to some loved ones, honey. I think it's wonderful. Honey always tastes good. But this honey, imagine lots of bees around, just cover up with the bees, and bees are protecting this honey, and in a way of protecting, if we not only we don't see the honey, but it's covered up with the bees, and bees are even dangerous, even sting you. So here, honey like good, representing Buddha or Buddha nature, bee like very aggressive, really. our emotional level. Really, some can be like a bee and get closer. Most of the time, not. But anyway, like a bees, our emotions, I'm talking about, our emotions, very kind of easy to tip off or break down or rage off like a fire or anyway, like a bee, really. They're active bees. Okay, now there's second example is honey, like Buddha nature, bee like our adventitious defilement. Okay, next three stanzas talk about that. And then third example, I'm here on page 152. Online would be maybe 153. Second kind of example is the grain and the husk. Grain and the husk. Grain and the husk is what? Grain is in the husk. We cannot see the grain. The grain represents the Buddha nature, our Buddha nature. Husk represents our defilement. Now our defilements totally cover up. Doesn't matter if you have many grains, it's not able to be used. You cannot feed anybody. You cannot eat because it's covered up with a husk. It's kind of remain rather not that useful as far as feeding up, you know. So like that, our Buddha nature, even though it's there, everything, you know, all its qualities, but for the moment, it is covered up with all the husk cover up the grain. Until you remove the husk, you cannot use the grain. Like that, our emotions, affective emotions, cognitive emotions, cognitive obscuration, karmas cover up this Buddha mind. That goes through the next three stanzas. Okay, now fourth is gold and filth. Gold, which represent our Buddha nature, filth. Imagine gold is in a field, dirty place, really. You do not want to even go there. Like that, our gold like Buddha nature is covered up by very, you know, not that good, filthy kind of phenomena. God is really adventitious defilements are like a filth. There's a fourth example. Now, fifth example is treasure and the earth. This example is very much used. Of course, the gold example too, but this example. Imagine a man, a very poor man in a very bad condition, a small house. He lives there and he's being poor. Past time is being continued to be poor. But he doesn't understand is that right underneath his place, there is treasure trove. Lots of treasures underneath there. But as long as this man do not realize this treasure trove, this man or woman will remain poor. Likewise, treasure trove like our Buddha nature, which can fulfill all our aspirations, as long as we do not recognize it, it will remain there for indefinite time. It will not come up and say, oh, I'm here. It remains. So, treasure and the earth, the ground which cover the treasure. The person do not understand. Right under that ground, there is a treasure trove. We are sitting right on this ground. The funny thing is we're being very poor, poor, not having any qualities. But we are sitting right on top of that quality. Top of that qualities. Very, very good example. Think about this example. More, contemplate on this, gives you more profound understanding. Okay? Now, sixth example. Sixth example is the shoot and the fruit skin. Shoot and fruit skin is like a shoot or the seed that from that seed, that comes out. See, in Northern California, redwood trees. I think about it sometimes. Beautiful redwood trees, big, tall, beautiful branches. When you really think about how these things happen, the seed of it is very small. From this, then from that small thing, and then all this come out the shoot, and then leaves, and then all these big trees emerge. This beautiful tree with its branch and leaves, actually in that small fruit. Likewise, regardless how sentient beings, we can become, but that can grow such, in a beautiful tree. Regardless how we ourselves, with our defilements, our mind become very confined, very limited mind, We cannot deal with anything. We don't have much room. It's very small. Anything can throw ordinary beings off, such a small. But within that small, such that possibility of such a big is there still. Yeah. That which represent Buddha is small. The fruit skin is basically our, defilements. Now, seventh example. Seventh example is a statue and turtled rock. Okay. Seventh example, I'm on page 157. This, again, the statue. Imagine a beautiful statue, gold painted. It's so beautiful statue. But the problem is it's wrapped up with this turtled cloth, bad cloth. It's just, we cannot see the beautiful statue inside. It's covered up. It's been covered up. And it is covered up. But doesn't matter how long or how it look like, turtled rock, whatever. Inside there is this beautiful Buddha statues. Next three stanzas talks about that example. Now, eighth example. Eighth example is a universal monarch and a woman. Imagine a woman who is very poor, who doesn't have any power. But she's pregnant. Inside her, she's pregnant with a monarch, universal monarch, a great monarch, which has all the power, which has everything. Everything. Yes, everything. The poor woman do not know that she is pregnant with this wonderful king, universal monarch, with all its power and with all its quality, with all its characteristics. But poor woman do not know. But doesn't matter whether she knows or not, she is pregnant with this king. Like that, all sentient beings, regardless, whether or not we recognize our true nature, our Buddha nature is there. Okay. Now, ninth example. We're almost done now. I hope you kind of something happened to you. Now, ninth example is golden image and the clay. Imagine a golden image. But this golden image is covered up with a clay, with a clay, basically. It is golden image. It is a very precious, it's a very valuable image, but it's covered up with a clay. Clay that's no useful, no worth, no valuable at all. Like that, our true nature, like a golden image, so much value, so much beautiful to look at, but it's covered up with a clay that's not that good looking. That's how sentient beings, our true nature is covered up with our defilements. Okay. So these are the 9 examples of our Buddha nature and the defilements that covers up our Buddha nature. Okay. Now on page 161, mine here. Then again, now to this end again, Lord Maitreya gives kind of a short sum up all the thing we talk about. Lotus, bee, house, and field. Basically, easy to understand. Okay. Now I'm on page 62 and then 63. Oh, 162, 163. So now from here then, we have to use a little bit of our brain, but it's very easy to understand. Very, very easy to understand. So first, the way the defilements are purified, explanation of the 9 defilements. So here, okay, let me first say, okay. Let us first do this. I mentioned first 9 example represents what? Our impurity, adventitious defilement. Second set of 9 examples, like Buddha image, golden image, those examples exemplify our true nature, right? 2 different 9 examples. There are 9 examples, but you take part will be 18 examples. Now, first 9 examples, as Lord Maitreya give, is a first 9 examples now about the impurities, our adventitious defilements. Okay, adventitious defilements. First 9 examples. So here's what it is. These 9 examples, basically, first 9 sets of examples, like a decaying, lotus, bees, and husk, and filthy phenomena. And these exemplify our adventitious defilement. Generally, just adventitious defilement exemplify. But here, Lord Maitreya now giving explanation in detail. He, details out which example exemplify which defilements, different defilements in different beings, okay? Different beings, okay? That's what it's about. It's very easy. So in order to talk about this, the first stanza is more of in a summary, again, short, introduction, and then second stanza here, in which individual streams of beings are they present. Are they present? The 9 examples are presents. So here on page 163 or 164 in the text, physical text 163, here are the different people, different ordinary, different beings. First, we have to identify who are the different beings. Okay, here. From Lord Maitreya's point of view, there are 4 kinds of beings. 4 kinds of beings, and their defilements. 4 kinds of beings. Very easy. First, he says, these defilements cause their cause in their given sequence 4 impurities of children. First, sometimes they should say ordinary children, ordinary beings. First section is ordinary being. Okay, they're ordinary beings. They are defilements. So now, what is ordinary being here? Sochi Tamalpa. Ordinary beings are just who do not care about any spiritual path. All they care is just go to work, make money, come home and watch. Everybody loves Raymond. Eat and go to bed. Next day, wake up, eat, and go to work. Come back. This time maybe watch NBA. So something like that. Just don't really think about beyond that anything. Just all is about is just to survive. Just to survive. So these are ordinary beings, okay? That's one section, ordinary being. Now, second kind of beings are here. You read this, 4 impurities of children, or the ordinary being, that's one, children. And the impurities of our heart. Now our heart. Our heart, see, since Lord Maitreya is very much explaining Mahayana, put our heart in one section. Our hearts are those who accomplish the lower vehicles teaching, part of Hinayana. That is basically get rid of all the defilements, emotional defilements, basically, and then one enter into nirvana, so-called nirvana, the cessation of sufferings. Imagine you simply practice Four Noble Truths and attain the cessation of sufferings, where suffering, dukkha, is not exist. And its cause also affecting emotions, totally abandoned. And that's called our heart state, or our heart state. What they attain. Okay. To put it simple like that. And then different our hearts, all kinds of, let us not go into details, that all kinds of our heart, but our heart, one section. Now we go 2 kind of beings. Second like that. And third and fourth, he refers to the path of Mahayana, who are on the path of Mahayana. So path of Mahayana, then it's a little bit long story. But if I put it in a very simple, we call 5 path and 10 stages. 5 path, 10 stages cover the whole path to Buddhahood. The beginning to Buddhahood, 10 stages and 4 paths are there. Now, of 5 paths, Sachu Lamma. Okay. Now here, 5 paths are we call Tsoglam path of accumulations. When you how one attain that path of accumulation? Then there are different kind of path, within that path of accumulation, there are different stages. But imagine how one attended first kind of step. That is step we usually say that in the Mahayana teaching says that the bodhicitta, right now we have to somehow think about, go through the four thoughts and try to generate bodhicitta, bodhicitta, bodhicitta. And at certain point, then bodhicitta naturally arise, naturally arise for the benefit of all sentient beings. Such profound aspiration naturally arise. Not any effort, not any kind of trying to generate this, but arising. If that happens, then you are on the first level of the path of accumulation of merit, Soklam. That's where the path begins. And then going through the path of accumulation of merit, and Jolam comes, path of joining. Now, path of joining is then you are going to join to the ultimate reality, path of joining. That's one section. 2. And path of seeing. Path of seeing is where then you realize Buddha nature directly, not intellectually or kind of try to understand like that, but directly, experientially, you realize that's part of seeing. And then part of meditations. And then after seeing the Buddha nature, then you have to kind of still, you saw the true nature of your Buddha nature, but you still, from beginningless lifetimes, defilements is still lingering. So you still have to do part of meditations. And then part of no learning is Buddhahood. Basically 4 paths, but 5th path is Buddha. But we say Lamga, 5 path. Okay. Basically like that. But this teaching, see, this is the one of the 5 treatises of Lord Maitreya. Other one is called, the main one that we also study with much focus is called Ngonto Jen, Only Man of Clear Realization. Only Man of Clear Realization. In this text, 10 details out, really, minute detail of how this bodhisattva, after bodhicitta is arising, from that, how this bodhisattva go through different stages of realizations, different stages of, purifying their defilements up to Buddhahood. So detailed explanation, amazing. Okay. Anyway, Lamga and the Sachu, 10 different stages, we call 10 different. 10 different stages are explained after the path of seeing, when you see the directly true nature, Buddha nature, then 10 different stages. From that, first stage, second stage, third, 10 different stages. After path of seeing. Path of seeing is the first stage, and then second, third. There are 10 different stages. Bhumis, you go. Bhumis, 10 different levels. Again, detailed explanations. But how we mainly explain is on these different stages, mainly deal with the purifying the obscurations of emotional obscurations and cognitive obscurations. With these 10 different stages, first to the 7th level, we call Madhapi Sadhu, not that completely purified, it has lots of defilements. First 7 stages. First 7 stages, they mostly deal with purifying emotional obscurations. Okay? And the last 3 stages, they deal more with cognitive obscuration. These are last 3 stages are called Daksaksum, which means pure 3-level of bhumis, 3-level stages. Just like that. Okay. So these are how bodhisattva go through different stages of realization and different stages of purifications. Okay, now Lord Maitreya here, another two beings are those beings who are on the path of accumulation, path of joining, path of seeing, those one group. And then another group is part of meditations, is another group. Yeah. Okay, four different groups. Okay, this is detailed explaining here, much detailed explanation. Go to page 164, if you understand that. Okay. Page 164, detailed explanations. Now, first is ordinary beings, those ordinary beings, right? We have four different kinds of beings, right? Ordinary beings or children, here we use the word children, and arhat. Two, and other tools are on the path of bodhisattvas, two different kinds of beings. They include altogether four kinds of beings. Four kinds of beings, emotions, affective emotions, and defilements are represented or exemplified by these 9 examples. Now, from here, these 9 examples are more, little bit in detail out. Okay, here are the ones. Okay, detailed explanation of the way defilements are purified. So, first example is what? First example is a decaying lotus, right? First example, decaying lotus, it represents our attachment or desires, ordinary beings, attachment or desire. Second example of bees represent our ordinary beings, hatred or anger. Bees like, that just sounds like very much, right? Yeah. And then third example, husk, that which cover the grains, exemplify our ignorance, delusions, exemplified. And then fourth example, filth, this very dirty around which cover the goal, which represents our active, ordinary beings, active state of defilements, very dirty. Other ones they cover, but not that dirty, I guess. When our defilements are very in an active state, it's very dirty, filthy. So now we know. First, for example, gives the clear example of how our ordinary beings, defilements. Okay, see? And then now, the fifth one is now first ordinary beings done. Now arhat, right? Arhat's defilements are exemplified with the treasure in the ground, in the earth. So from Mahayana point of view, these arhats, even though they attain the cessation of suffering, but they are still not omniscient. There's still a way to go. According to Mahayana teachings, these arhats have lots of other also ignorance, that they are not excel on their path. They are yet to be realized, go further to become Buddha. You have seized these sufferings, cause of sufferings, affective emotions. Once you get rid of all affective emotion, you go into nirvana. But still, that nirvana is not ultimate result. In Mahayana point of view, you have to go beyond nirvana now. Beyond samsara, nirvana. If it's nirvana is your final state, and you just go there and don't look back to sentient beings who are infinitely wandering in samsara, that's not the final stage. You have still some ignorance. So the treasure that cover up by the ground, underneath ground, the ground do not let you see the treasure. That ignorance example is that our heart's ignorance is exemplified by this example, the fifth example, right? Okay. Now we come to the true bodhisattva spot, or true beings in bodhisattva spot. Bodhisattva spot, we talk about part of seeing. Part of seeing is what? Part of seeing the true nature, Buddha nature, part of seeing. In that part of seeing, see, this skin of the fruit, which holds this, that beautiful, let's say, redwood tree that grows out, that is still holds. That skin, fruit skin, is represent the defilements. They yet to be abandoned, they yet to be overcome by the bodhisattva who is on the path of seeing. Does it make sense? Who is on the path of seeing? This is a beautiful example because now part of seeing, when you are on the path of seeing, you see that you realize directly your true nature. Now you are going to grow from there. From there, you are going to go straight to the Buddha place, Buddha state. Then you are growing from that seed, then, of shoots, and then from there, you grow the bigger, with all the qualities. So this is a beautiful example, in fact, the skin of the fruit, is represent the defilements of the bodhisattva who is on the path of seeing. Okay. Now, the next example, the Buddha statue wrap up with a tattered, rock, which that represents the defilements of the path of meditation. On the path of meditation, now after path of seeing, then you have to go through first, all these different stages where you abandon, where you get rid of all the defilements, right? So these, rock, Tata rock, which includes the Buddha statue, beautiful Buddha statue. That Tata rock exemplify, gives the defilements of the bodhisattva who is on the path of meditation. Okay? Yeah, I think that's what it is. And then let me again give you, I'm on page 167. On 167 on the first paragraph. And then what we have now. Now we have two more examples to go. Now, next example is the woman, pregnant with the universal monarch. The shrouding woman's womb, that which cover the universal monarch. That shrouding woman's womb represents the defilements of the path of the bodhisattva who is on the path of the stage, on the stage, first seven stage, who are on the 7 stages. Remember, among 10 stages, we divide that into 2. First 7 stages called madhasadi, not that pure, impure kind of 7 stages, because there are lots of defilements yet to be abandoned. So the shrouding woman's womb represents the defilements of the bodhisattvas who are on the path or on the stages of the first 7 stages. To those bodhisattvas who are on 7 stages, they have defilements. They have still defilements. Mainly they purify emotional defilement. Lots of emotional defilements they have. So these emotional defilements are represented by this surrounding womb. Okay. Now the last last three stages of bodhisattva, so-called Takpisasum, last three stages of bodhisattva called pure last three stages, pure last three stages. Why we call pure last three stages? Because there's no defilements, so emotional defilements not exist. Only cognitive defilements exist, last three stages. So these cognitive defilements, they are defilements, but very less. This one is represented by the example of the clay, which cover up this golden image. They're rather simple, looking, but it still can be crushed very easily. The last bodhisattva's defilements represented by the clay, which cover golden image. Okay, so then, and then last again, Lord Maitreya, a little bit in a summary of the meaning. So, there be example. Okay, now we have completed the first 9 examples, which exemplify the defilements of different beings. Okay, different beings, defilements example. Usually, you usually look at these 9 examples as just simply example of our defilements. You don't have to think more into detail which 9 example exemplify which beings defilement. Don't think about very much. But going in detail, Lord Maitreya gives, according to the different beings, defilements, kind of connect this defilement to these certain examples. Beautiful, actually. So this gives us more, understanding of their defilements. Okay. Now we come to I'm on page 168. Short explanation of what is illustrated by the 9 examples. Now this is very, very important. Now pure, our Buddha mind, right? Buddha mind, Buddha nature is now the subject by these examples. Now these examples are good ones, example, right? The Buddha, the honey, the gold image, the Buddha statues, beautiful, beautiful examples. Now what these exemplify is basically our true nature, our inherent Buddha nature is exemplified. Lord Maitreya gives all this example that make us to understand our true nature, generally, just like that. And then going into detail again, Lord Maitreya then gives little bit more to the, which, again, which example exemplify what kind of quality or Buddha qualities we're talking about, different quality of the Buddha, our Buddha nature. When we say Buddha nature, we're talking about all as one entity, right? Now break this down into different quality of our Buddha nature is exemplified by these 9 good examples, exemplify our Buddha nature in its different qualities. Okay. Again, it gives Lord Maitreya gives a short kind of introductions. Okay, and then okay. Now we have to use a little bit of our brain. Then then we are done here. So next is very interesting, even more interesting than before. That interesting is now Lord Maitreya gives our Buddha nature kind of break down in different kind of categories. Now first he gives three categories. Our Buddha nature is explained in three categories, okay, to understand our Buddha nature. First category is Dharmakaya, Buddha nature, Dharmakaya. Second is translated here from Tejing Shekpa, Tejingyi in Tibetan as suchness. Suchness. Second, suchness. Third, disposition here. Here translated as disposition, but basically Buddha nature. Just use that for straightforward. Anyway, so now here our true nature is categorized by Lord Maitreya. Three categories: Dharmakaya, suchness, and disposition. The Buddha nature. Disposition. Let us use the disposition here now. So, so what Buddha Maitreya is, what Lord Maitreya is trying to give is here these 9 examples how correspond to these different qualities of our Buddha, of our Buddha nature. Okay. So combination of these with their example. Dhammakaya being the beyond the worldly, no example for it can be found in the world. Therefore, the elements and Tathagata are explained as being slightly similar. Okay, so anyway, now first category, Dhammakaya. We usually divide into 2 Dhammakayas. Okay. Dhammakaya of realizations and Dhammakaya in terms of teaching. In terms of teaching has nothing to do with Dhammakaya, but the teaching gives you that Dhammakaya, therefore in terms of teachings. Okay, first Dhammakaya of realization, what that is. Dhammakaya here, you keep in mind, Dhammakaya means the Buddha nature which is purified, is pristine, immaculate, is no adventitious defilements are present, fully developed, is Dhammakaya. That's it. Dhammakaya of realizations. Now, what exemplify this? This Dhammakaya, which is immaculate, no stain of adventitious defilements are present, this is beautiful, the Buddha, our Buddha nature fully now. What can exemplify this? That can be exemplified only by the Buddha. The Buddha covered up by the lotus, beautiful Buddha with its own qualities and marks represent that, this Buddha nature. In its purest, when everything fall apart, all covers fall apart, represented by that Buddha. Okay. And then next, honey example. What example? Honey example we call Dhammakaya, has Dhammakaya in terms of teachings. Dhammakaya in terms of teachings, we talk about teaching we divided into 2. The teaching that which has to do with absolute nature, teaching on absolute nature. And teaching that is called profound teaching, and teaching on the different kinds of methods to understand that profundity, that ultimate truth. Basically teaching on relative truth and ultimate truth, in another word. Which one we call profound teaching and vast teaching. Profound teaching has to do with directly, like the teaching on emptiness, directly dealing with the nature of phenomena. Teaching on vastness has to do with providing all kinds of methods so that you understand that. So these 2 Dhammakaya, these are called also Dhammakaya in terms of teaching, because these are the one actually give rise or generate this Dhammakaya of realizations. Without these, how Dhammakaya of realization can appear? So therefore, these 2 are also Dhammakaya in terms of teachings. So in terms of teaching, this first teaching on absolute truth, is represented by the honey, Dhammakaya teaching, honey. Honey is a beautiful thing. Doesn't matter Santa Barbara honey or Santa Cruz honey or anywhere honey. Honey are always good. Therefore we use, I think, the word honey. So the teaching on absolute truth is different kind of teaching, but all has to do with the absolute truth. Absolute truth. Honey exemplify the Dharma teaching, Dharmakaya teaching which has to do with profundity, absolute truth. Now the grain and husk. The grain represents the varieties of teachings, methods, all kinds of grains in so many varieties. So many in the varieties method, which make you to realize the ultimate. Okay, so we are done with the first category, Dharmakaya. The second one, suchness. I'm on page 170 here. Suchness we call in Tejin. Suchness has to do with the true nature. These three categories, Dharmakaya, suchness, and disposition. And some, commentary say this, suchness is the nature, essence of the Dharmakaya, essence of our Buddha nature. Dharmakaya is a different aspect, and the mental and the dispositions has to do with different manifestation of our Buddha nature. So anyway, suchness has to do with the Dharmata, the true nature of our Buddha nature. True nature, that which is, beyond thought, that which is just true natural phenomena. This is called Tejin In. In Tibet, Tejin suchness. That suchness is represented by the goal. Goal doesn't matter wherever goal is left. Different places, goal is always goal. That suchness, the nature of phenomena, nature of our Buddha mind, always same. You can put it in any different places, but goal is goal. So there's a very common saying that 대신 셰반남 조연장롱 마조연장롱 취지 인니 kuntu neso, something like that, which means whether Buddha came or not came, the true nature of phenomena or dharma is always there. Buddha just came to show you that, but true nature is there. True dharma is that. Suchness. Okay, that's one category. Goal represent that, suchness. And then dispositions. Here you pay a little bit of attention, very interesting here. Disposition, let us use let's do Buddha nature, Buddha nature. Now, to this Buddha nature, we divide into two. See here it says, nature since the beginningless time and becomes supreme through right cultivations. So this true Buddha nature we divide into two because of this reason. One is called Ranjineric, which means naturally present Buddha nature. That's just Buddha nature. That I and we all have naturally present Buddha nature. And now interestingly, second one is very interesting. Second one is we call Jenjurchirik. Jenjurchirik means develop, if you translate directly, it will be developing Buddha nature. Developing Buddha nature is now when you are on path. When you are on path, now Buddha nature is, something happened to this Buddha nature. Now slowly Buddha nature is opening, imagine like that. Slowly Buddha nature is emerging. Like we usually give example like the pool, like the moon on the full moon day, slowly arising from the horizon beautifully, which is going to shine forever. So these slowly coming up. isn't it? There's a true nature. Then called the Buddha nature in ordinary beings. Remember who watch just Everybody Loves Raymond? That person's Buddha nature is naturally present Buddha nature. That's Buddha nature. Now imagine a bodhisattva who's on the path of bodhisattva, who's doing lots of accumulation of merit purified. This being's Buddha nature is called what? Developing Buddha nature. Sometimes expanded Buddha nature. Anyway, Jenju direct translation would be developing is Buddha nature. Same Buddha nature, but different kind. That's in reality not different, right? But it's just from different aspect. Okay. That's it. That's it. It's true. So now, if you ask now, going back, okay. So there are two different kinds of Buddha nature, right? Rajineri, Yenju unfold. One minute. Okay. So these two Buddha natures of naturally present Buddha nature, our Buddha nature, and then developing Buddha nature, represented by the example of, where are we now? Here, honey, grain, gold. Okay, the treasure. Here, see, treasure. Our Buddha nature, this ordinary beings is treasured by the treasure. Does that make sense? Treasure, the Buddha nature. Naturally present Buddha nature, okay? That's treasure. And then developing Buddha nature is represented by the tree, by the redwood tree. Does it make sense? By the redwood trees. See, now developing Buddha nature, slowly uncovering, like the moon shining from the horizon. That's like a tree that, remember, the seed that which is in a fruit slowly shoot and then leaves and then grow like this beautiful redwood tree. Developing Buddha nature is represented by that. That's it. Okay. So this actually, let me first go through this now. And then now further divide it into three kayas. What this represents, three kayas, okay? Three kayas. Because we have so-called naturally present Buddha nature and developing Buddha nature, then we come to the three kayas. Three kayas here Our first is Swava Vikakaya. Swava Vikakaya, we call Ngoniku, essence Kaya. Essence Kaya has to do with essence Kaya has to do with, you remember when we do Guru Yoga practice, for empowerment, and 4 Kayas. The last one's Swava Vikakaya. Swava Vikakaya has to do with the, we usually say, Takpanyingde, which means twofold purities. Twofold purities. Purity, Buddha nature, by nature. Purity, right? Purity, that purity, Buddha nature, by nature purity. And then purity of absence of defilements. See? Absence of defilements there. See? So these two called twofold purity. This twofold purity is called Swava Vikakaya, Ngoniku. That's it. So this is one Kaya. That one Kaya is represented by the beautiful Buddha statues. Make sense? Beautiful Buddha statues. And then we got last 2 Kayas are what? Sambhoga Kaya and Nirvana Kaya. Now, let me a little bit explain. What is Sambhoga Kaya? Now, these 2 Kayas, we call, see, in our prayer, we usually says, for the benefit of self, may I attain Dhammakaya. For the benefit of others, may I attain Rupakaya, form Kayas. These are form Kayas. Sambhoga Kayas, Nirvana Kaya, form Kayas. Now, Sambhoga Kaya, we talk about in terms of 5 certainties. Certain body with all this decorated, certain body, all the minor, major marks of the Buddha, certain place in Akanishta, certain teaching, only the higher teaching, certain retinue. To whom Sambhoga Kaya gives Dhamma teaching is only for the pure audience, those who are on the path, on the stages, from first Bhumi to the last 10 Bhumi. These are the audience of the Sambhoga Kaya. And time certainty, infinite time. So these are basically for the benefit of others, 2 Kayas. Sambhoga Kaya, which manifests to pure audience, Bodhisattva audience. Bodhisattvas, those who are not Buddha, but very definitely on the path of liberation, on the path of final stage, but still not. So these special audience, Sambhoga Kaya. Okay. Then Nirvana Kaya. What is Nirvana Kaya? Nirvana Kaya then nothing, just to appear to everybody. Like Buddha Shakyamuni was one of Nirvana Kaya. We could have, if we were born at that time, we could have seen. Who knows? Maybe we have seen. So Sambhoga, Nirvana Kaya in many different forms, different ways, different times. So uncertain. Sambhoga Kaya is certain, 5 certainties. Nirvana Kaya not certain, different forms. Okay. Now what represent now here? The universal monarch, remember the king in the woman's womb, the universal monarch represents Sambhoga Kaya. Sambhoga Kaya with 5 certainties. Complete that. Okay. Universal monarch represents Sambhoga Kaya. And then gold image represents what? Nirvana Kaya. Okay. Gold image. That Nirvana Kaya, in order to benefit all sentient beings. So different kinds of forms appear in Nirvana Kaya forms. This is represented by gold image. Okay, now pretty much, that's pretty much what 9 impure kind of example represents, what pure kind of example represents. Okay, now to sum up, as I said, you just look at this example, just 9 examples, our defilements, 9 examples, impure examples, our defilements, 9 pure examples, our Buddha nature. That's it. Simple form like that. Leave it there. Now, if you want to go a little bit further, entertain, not only entertain, there's a very profound understanding may arise if you go further. That is then, according to this, what 9 impure example represents different defilements of different beings as we go through. What 9 pure example represents the nature of the different nature, different aspect of our Buddha nature in different stages. These are beautiful to kind of think about what this represents. Okay, now we are on page 173. 173. The way these are to be realized through faith. Okay, through faith we realize. Finally, what Maitreya says, all the things we have been talking about, really to understand this is through faith. Talking about faith, we talk about mostly 3 kinds of faith: vivid faith, desire faith, and then confidential faith. Vivid faith or admirational faith has to do with simply you admire, you really wow kind of thing, Buddha Maitreya, Lord Maitreya, who, by the way, I'm kind of going back and forth this Buddha and Lord Maitreya, but because I'm kind of very much engaged in the teaching of Buddha Maitreya is the fifth Buddha. So, but here when we talk about Maitreya, which is Bodhisattva, okay? Bodhisattva, because what we, for instance, right now is said to be Maitreya is the last stages of the last 10th me. He's on 10th, last stages of the 10th Buddha, ready to become enlightened. His image drawn, all this Bodhisattva's image, not Buddha image, Bodhisattva's kind of figure. Yeah? Lord Maitreya. Okay. So when you hear these teachings, when you hear the qualities of Lord Maitreya, there comes some kind of profound admiration. It's called vivid faith. Just want to, so gives you so much admiration to that qualities. And then that lead to desire faith. You wish to follow that example, really. And then you see all the defects of samsara, you somehow generate some kind of renunciation and desiring to that profound quality, desire faith. Through these, then confidential faith, that which is then, real kind of understanding, with understanding through this vivid faith, desire faith, and confidential faith. That is really, you are up there. Now you truly, with certainty, you are certain, as you embark on the path of liberation, then the vivid faith and desire faith become confidential faith. So anyway, ultimate nature, Buddha nature like, is something has to do with through these kind of faith to be realized. It's not intellectually to be realized, but intellectually we study like this, we think about this. Even though we do not attain any of the qualities described here, but still we talk about it. We aspire to these qualities. Is something wonderful, admiration. Vivid faith we must generate. So anyway, to realize. So next is explanation of the true nature itself. This is one of the most quoted, quotation here. Here it reads, I'll just read this. Nothing whatsoever is to be removed. We're talking about true nature, Buddha nature. To their true ultimate nature, there is nothing whatsoever to be removed. Not the slightest things is to be added. Everything is perfect, but modally, nothing. In Tibetan it goes, Dila Saja Chiame, Japar Jawa Chunzeme, Yanda Nila Yanda Tona number 12. It's a beautiful quotation. Truly looking at truth, truth is sin. When sin, this is a complete liberation. Okay. Keep this quotation, beautiful quotations. So our true nature, Buddha nature, there's nothing to be removed. In fact, adventitious defilement around that has nothing to do with it, right? Crystal thing that we Lamas use to exemplify our Buddha nature. The crystal itself has nothing to do with it. Nothing to be added, nothing to be removed. It's what it is. Likewise, our Buddha nature, true essence, is what it is. Nothing to be added, nothing to be removed. What we are removing is adventitious defilement that outside there somewhere coming out. For some reason, it covers out for us. So that thing needs to be removed. That's it. Simple. Beautiful. Keep that. Next is then this stanza is explained by many scholars, and different explanation appear from here, which is the element, the title is the way it is empty and not empty, Okay. In Tibetan it is, Nami chi bi tsengi chi, lobultaki kantong, Nami me bi tsengi chi, Nami chuji tomai. So which means the element Buddha nature is empty of adventitious stains, okay, which is featured by their total separateness, but it is not empty. Buddha nature is not empty of matchless properties, which are featured by their total inseparability. Okay, now. So now here, when we explain this, then we so-called Zhentongpa, emptiness of others, Rangtongpa, emptiness of self, all appears in Tibet. The different scholars explain. What it really is talking about is basically like that. Buddha nature is empty of adventitious defilement, empty. But its true nature is not empty of defilement, like that kind of empty is not like, Buddha nature is not like that. It's not empty. See. So, very interesting. Zhentongpa, emptiness of self appear from here. Then go into very detail. Emptiness of self, emptiness of others. By the way, Zhentong is emptiness of other, okay? Emptiness of other, what does that mean? Emptiness of other referring to adventitious defilement. That's what they're referring to. Emptiness of other. But Buddha nature itself is not empty. But there is, when one really meditate, abide in the nature of your mind, you realize that all these discursive thoughts rise and disappearing. Rise and disappearing like a cloud, arising and disappearing in this infinite space. That cloud, yes, these are empty. These rising thoughts, yes, these are empty. But backdrop of this, what contains this nature of mind, empty, and luminous. This is what it is. This is not like the cloud just hanging in the sky. This is not the adventitious defilement just arising and disappear. It's different. So it is not empty. Okay. Therefore, Yentongpa. Oh, so much beautiful explanation actually. And then the Rangtongpa, another explanation of this is then everything's empty, of course. As empty as the cloud, as empty as the rising thought and disappearing, so is the Buddha nature, is also empty. No differences. Therefore, emptiness of self. Then debate goes on. Now, what do we talk about? For instance, Mepam Rinpoche, let's say, lion's roar. He composes such explanation on this lion's roar. And so detail how things, Rangtong Yentong works. But to put it simple, says that, yes, there's nothing that's not empty. That's our true nature. Empty as it is. There's nothing so-called or cannot be found that's not empty. At the same time, like Rangtongpa, those who explain Rangtong, everything's empty, like the empty of the cloud, empty of the rising thought. Buddha nature is also empty. It's not empty like that, but Buddha nature has its own qualities. Like all the qualities we will be talking about next when we talk about enlightenment. Oh. All the qualities are presented here right now as we speak, as we see it here. All the qualities are here, really. Yes, we do not realize. It's just there, everything is there. If it's not there, then you accumulate merit and build up that Buddha quality. If that's the case, then Buddha qualities are impermanent. If it's impermanent, what's the problem? Then that's nature of suffering. So these things are just leave aside. This has to do with those who do not have anything to do, monks, nuns, for us. We have lots of works to do. So just, I even don't have to say this Rangtong Jentong thing, but just say, anyway, there's nothing, there's not empty. At the same time, all enlightened qualities, as Jentongpa talked about, all presented here within us. Okay, I'm on page 175. Here, now, Lord Maitreya asks himself a question here. Very interesting question. See, what question he asks? Okay. Sutra of the second turning the wheel of Dharma states in numerous places that all knowable phenomena are in all ways empty, like a cloud, dream, or an illusion. Why is it then that in the Sutra of the third turning the wheel of Dharma, Buddha, having said this, declared the Buddha nature is present within all beings? See, good question. Buddha taught 3 turning the wheel of Dharma. First turning the wheel of Dharma, simply Vinayana, and Four Noble Truth, which is the very basic teachings of the Buddhism, or of the whole Buddha Dharma. Second turning the wheel of Dharma, then Buddha goes into detail of emptiness. See, first turning the wheel of Dharma, when Buddha talked about Eightfold Path, the right view. From that right view, ultimate right view is understanding of emptiness. And that detailing about all the prajna paramita teachings Buddha gave, everything's empty. Second turn the wheel of Dharma. Third turn the wheel of Dharma, then Buddha said, not only empty, but there's also So, so-called Buddha nature is present within all sentient beings. So, here's question is asked. Why Buddha said in the second turning everything is empty, third turning he says Buddha nature present. Let's see how Lord Maitreya himself answered to these questions. Okay. Now, first answer, he kind of gives a brief answer. Well, if Buddha do not taught Buddha nature, which I call it, the biggest news, the most beautiful news to the mankind or the world. If Buddha did not teach this, what will happen? He says, with regard to the pain-heartedness, contemporary. Okay, here he basically, let me just say this instead of reading. 5 things would have happened. First thing is very discouraged. Buddha may have attained enlightenment, but who knows? I can attain enlightenment if I don't have Buddha nature. Probably not. So we'll be very discouraged. Buddha was born a long time ago as a prince. He had all the circumstances, conditions that actually, but I don't have those things. If Buddha nature is not taught, we'll be very discouraged. We will never even begin anything. Second, if Buddha nature is not taught, then we think we look down on other people. Even when we have quality, we look down on people. It's just not. These folks are just empty. Or just look down. That will happen. If Buddha nature is not taught, then people would not understand that adventitious quality is naturally empty. Not understood. If Buddha nature is not taught, that Buddha nature, understanding of Buddha nature, or Buddha nature disparage the Buddha nature. If Buddha nature is not taught, Buddha nature will be disparage, not by not knowing that. If Buddha nature is not taught, exceedingly, sub-cherishing, disregard others. This would happen. Okay, that's simple. Just answer to your questions. Okay, now detail a little bit to go to detailed answer. That detailed answer is when Buddha taught that everything is empty, everything's like a cloud, everything's like a dream, everything's like an illusion. What Buddha taught? See, Buddha taught in an absolute truth, everything is empty. On a relative truth, we have to view everything as a cloud. Everything is a dream, everything is illusions. What Buddha meant that intention of the teaching of the second turning the wheel of Dharma, the final truth is empty. Final truth is in every respect, devoid of anything compounded, created. Uncompounded, uncreated Buddha nature is not empty. Buddha nature is there, here not empty. Uncompounded or compounded, all compounded are like that. Okay. Poisons and karmas and their products are said to be like a dream cloud. Okay, then go a little bit detail. Detailed explanations is mental poisons are like a cloud. When Buddha said like cloud, everything's like cloud. What does he mean? Mental poisons that arising and disappearing are like a cloud. Okay. And karmas resemble like a dream. When Buddha said, on a relative level, everything's like a dream. What did he mean? He meant that all the karmas that we have accumulated from beginning of this lifetime, it's like a dream. And from that karma and poisonous mental afflictions, what give rise? All these skandhas. Skandha of form, skandha of feeling. All these are, Buddha said, like a deceptive apparitions, Juma, we call Juma, deceptive apparition. All these teachings are like that. Why Buddha taught the second turning the wheel of Dharma. Okay. Maitreya is basically answering himself why Buddha taught second thought in the wheel of Dharma. When Buddha said everything is like a cloud, everything like a dream, everything like a deceptive apparition, what all this means? What all this means is that adventitious defilements, okay, all the defilements that cover up our Buddha natures are like that, basically, in essence, okay. And then last, really answer to this question, himself question. This is a very beautiful question, beautiful answer, okay. Third turn in the wheel of Dharma, element is present so that the 5 evils would be abandoned. 5 evils, 5 evils, okay. What are the 5 evils? First thing about 5 evils are basically if there's no Buddha natures at all. Again, the same thing. First is very will be there. If Buddha nature is not taught, right? And looking down on others, you will not understand the adventitious defilements or empty all these teachings. You will not understand Buddha nature. Likewise, you will not, you think you are the best, you look down on other people, other beings. So these are 5 evils could have happened. By the virtue of teaching Buddha nature, what happens now? 5 beautiful things happens here. Really, he ends this chapter with this. 5 beautiful things. What beautiful things can happen? I'm on page 180. 5 beautiful things, as I would say, good news. Once one heard this teaching about Buddha nature, joy will be born. Oh, Buddha nature, really. Sometimes our emotions are kind of overwhelmingly, but regardless, Buddha nature, really. It's once true being is already Buddha. That's why in general teaching of the Buddha Dhamma, we say that all our, why when we are really upset, angry, all these defilements, afflictive emotions, it's really bad to your being, detrimental to your being. On the other hand, love, compassion, wisdom is really, why? It's really beneficial to you. Why? Because that's who you are. Your quality, your inner quality is like that. Compassion, loving kindness, wisdom's innate qualities. Therefore, when you are in those qualities, you are able to come closer to your true nature. With that, you feel good. That coffee tastes so good. Wherever you are, it's a beautiful place. Even in the cave where there's nothing, but it's still so much joy, right? When you read Dohas or the great masters of the past, you will find that. So joy, incredible joy is there. It's Buddha nature. Be joyful. Be joyful. Whether or not one recognizes your true nature is Buddha. Doesn't matter. It's beautiful. So joy will be born. See. And what will happen? Respect toward others. Well, if everybody has Buddha nature, like I do, everybody has Buddha nature, of course respect. How can you look down on other people? Doesn't matter how she or he act badly or such a situation or such a dominated by his or her adventitious defilement. From now on, let us say adventitious defilement, but her nature, his nature is Buddha. It's something respectable, honorable, not something looked down on people. So therefore, in Mahayana, all motherly sentient beings, all have Buddha nature. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that something? So going further in the Vajrayana teaching, then we talk about pure perceptions, starting to your teacher, to your Dharma brothers and sisters, and all sentient beings, like Dakas, Dakinis, female and male Buddhas, pure perception. Yes, there must be pure perception. There should be pure perception because every being have Buddha nature. Their true nature is Buddha. Okay. And then what will happen? Analytical wisdom and primordial wisdom will be born. Analytical wisdom has to do with Jinye Pichemba, we call all this arising phenomena, adventitious defilement, all these mentally created phenomena are empty in reality, empty in essence. That is discriminating, analytical wisdom. Primordial wisdom, understanding of true nature, primordial wisdom will be born when Buddha nature is taught. And great loving kindness will arise to all sentient beings, loving kindness and compassion to all beings. Realizing that even though their true nature, sentient beings' true nature is Buddha, but it's still they suffer so much. It's almost for no reason, for absolutely no reason, sentient beings suffering. So with that, first thing is understanding of equality, profound understanding of equality to begin with, right? With that, compassion and loving kindness will be generated to all sentient beings. Isn't this good enough reasons to teach Buddha nature? Buddha nature is something that's our true nature, and understanding, even intellectually understanding, gives us a comfort and gives us courage, gives us a profound understanding of equality of all sentient beings. And after all, can Buddhahood, Buddha nature, be purified? This adventitious defilement that do not belong here can be purified. Yes, can be purified. Can Buddha essence can be manifest, fully blossom, even in this lifetime? Yes, it can be, because your true nature has been Buddha and is Buddha. That is the purpose of the teachings of Buddha nature. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Otherwise,
can explain this correctly, but when with our as we're purifying our defilements in this lifetime, our Buddha nature is constant. So how are the adventitious defilements transferred in our consciousness to other lifetimes, or like if we haven't completed the purification in this lifetime? How does that?
you mean, what do you mean?
Like if I don't attain Buddhahood in this lifetime, how will my next lifetime bring the same adventitious defilements that I have to work with? Does that come with this? Because Buddha nature is constant.
Oh, yeah.
The defilements are not.
Yeah.
So I don't know, how does that?
How is go? Your question is, this adventitious defilement can continue to our next lifetimes, right?
Yes.
Okay. Very good questions. Yes, even though this is adventitious defilement, but still it goes to the next life, So now, if we think about a little bit about Vajrayana teachings, then we talk about at the end of life, so-called dissolutions take place. Outer dissolution, inner dissolution. Outer dissolution, physical body has to do. Inner dissolution has to do with our adventitious defilement, dissolve back into the Buddha essence of infinite space, Buddha nature, basically adventitious dissolve. at the time of death, because part of dying, and then dissolution takes place. Going through these transition, and then we go to the part of becoming, and then next life. Part of becoming, then our consciousness arise from that, again, go to the Buddha nature, and then now recognizing that Buddha nature, come back to again to the consciousness. And then you again think about you are, your being, no death, and then that consciousness wandering around, some Hollywood movies subject, consciousness wandering around. At that time, then also your karmic imprints now come back. That means now again come back this adventitious developments. So that then internal obscurations, karmic obscurations, karma come back. So so the answer to your question, yes, it continues adventitious defilement, but this continues. That is like, let's imagine a crystal, leave it there. It got, kind of cover up with all the dirt. You leave it there in the daytime, day pass, nighttime. Next day, if you do not clean, it still remain. It's cover up. This dirt still remain, but doesn't matter how long it remain. This dirt never the nature of the crystal, right? Always separate. The adventitious department always, remain separate. Not the nature of who we are. So, for instance, like that. There's a good example you see now. But continuing sense, good and bad continue. So when you think about newborn baby from same parents, firstborn baby can be very compassionate by nature. All he wants to do is help others. There's nothing to do with Dharma or anything. He just wants to help, and he doesn't want to hurt anybody. Second-born baby could be a little bit different now. He doesn't want to do. All care is for himself, and just nothing really pay attention. Big difference. So this same parent did not teach them to be differently. But why then? Question is, why? How happened this? And the answer is, this has to do with the past life. Past life.